Hello, everyone. Welcome to StreamHorseTV Tokyo Takeaways in conversation with the lovely Catie Staszak, FEI show jumping commentator and CEO of Catie Staszak Media. Catie, welcome and thanks for joining us again.
It's great to be back. Thank you. I've been so excited about this conversation because watching the games these past couple of days has just been absolutely thrilling. So there's a lot to talk about.
Yes, absolutely. And I guess we'll start with our wonderful Team USA, Team Dressage silver medalists. If you want to talk about what it was like watching them go, I'd love to hear your account.
Yeah, so heading into the final rotation for the Grand Prix Special, which was the team final for Dressage, Team USA was sitting third, and it really looked like they were going to have a big challenge from Denmark, and they needed to kind of maintain, they needed to work really hard to maintain that bronze medal. And then, of course, Sabine Schut-Carey, who has just emerged as an American hero at these Olympic Games, went out and just obliterated her personal best with her mount Senseo in the special in 81%. And they just not only firmly hold on to that bronze medal, suddenly they're in contention for the silver. So then, of course, there's Charlotte.
By the way, she's the only one I saw clips of the day of, and I was seeing nines. I was hearing them say nines.
She was brilliant. I mean, you were just there watching and just cheering. I was cheering at my phone, cheering at the screen. But of course, so you know, great, US has a medal. Brilliant. But we've gotten bronze recently, and suddenly you have Charlotte Dujardin coming into the ring, and the pressure's on her because now US could potentially get a silver medal. So she just scored an 80%, and she did not. She scored 79%, and a few small mistakes. She has a very young and inexperienced horse. So all of a sudden, Team USA has earned and jumped into that silver medal position, and it's their first since 1948 in Team Dressage to take a silver medal. It was a historic moment. Great Britain took the bronze, and of course Germany, they were runaway winners as expected for the team gold medal.
Yes, the silver medalists we have here, and they are from left to right. That's Adrian, right?
Yep, Adrian Lyle. There's Stefan Peters, who has long just been the face of U.S. dressage, and Sabine Schut-Carey, who ends up being the anchor here at these games and just obliterated, as I would put it, her personal best in every single test at these games. She was sensational, and I've really become a fan in this truly breakthrough performance. In Tokyo. What a special combination.
It's just so incredible. I mean, I thought it was a bonus just that she lives in Napa, California, which everybody loves that place. But she raised this horse since 3 years old, right? And we have Stefan here on the right, by the way, who we'll get to in a second.
Obviously, Stefan was thrilled with his test. He had a personal best as well in the Grand Prix Special, did very well in today's individual freestyle. They both did. They really were pillars for this team, and they were a joy to watch.
Yes, and Sabine, you said before in our last conversation, so she had this horse since he was 3 years old, Senseo, correct?
Yes, that's right. She's really developed this horse. She has made him, and what an incredible partnership they have. It's undeniable, really. They know each other inside and out, and that is an advantage. Unquestionably, and they proved that this week.
It was just what the clips I saw. I just saw some highlights of her, and it was incredible to behold. And then my favorite quote after this night of competition was actually Stefan Peters, a grown man, talking about how he, and it's going to make me cry repeating it, I didn't realize this horse was 18-2. This giant 18-2 horse, who's named Mopsy. His barn name is Mopsy, right? He said he threw his arms around him and burst into tears and just thanked him and hugged him. And it's just like such a moment to think about, him thanking this giant, giant over 18-hand horse.
As the commentators there in Tokyo put it, he fills the arena nicely. Up in Casper, as you mentioned, affectionately known as Mopsy by Stefan. Stefan is just, he's so wonderful to talk to. He's a visualizer. He believes greatly in visualization. He can visualize the entire stadium, the arena. He pictures this moment. It's very much a mental game for him. And this was very visibly a special moment, and they executed. So really history making for Team USA, and they deserved it. It really was just brilliant performances. They rose to the occasion. I just can't say, it was just so fun to watch.
Yeah, as they say, they threw it down for sure when it mattered. And wow, and they didn't even, their fourth person didn't even present at inspection. So, and again, I'm looking at this big guy, and it's just adorable. And then we don't want to forget Adrian here, who we have on her gorgeous, gorgeous horse.
Yeah, Adrian was really the leader of the pack coming into this game, with averages that, were in the 80s. They truly deserve to be on this team. They are a big part of the team effort. Very solid scores, 66 in the Grand Prix Special to contribute to the team silver. And they rebounded because they did not have their best performance in qualifying in the Grand Prix. So that's a very big deal for them. Adrian did elect not to contest the individual final today. That is because she just felt that her horse, Salvino, didn't quite feel right when she warmed him up in the morning. She put her horse first. It's very grueling. The conditions are quite testing in Tokyo. It's very hot, and that's very admirable of her to do. Obviously, it's, an experience of a lifetime, an opportunity of a lifetime to compete in the individual final. She did qualify for it, but she elected to just take a step back and rest her horse today. But unquestionably a member of the team, especially since there's just 3 team members now. There's no more drop scores, so everyone contributed wholeheartedly to that medal.
Yes, and again, what an example for someone on a world stage to notice their horse might not be, all the way there. So good on her. And then as we moved into the individual competition, I know you were surprised Isabel Wirth, the dominant dressage rider from Germany, had not been in first, and we did see her win the silver medal, which was a surprise, correct? And here we have Charlotte, but we can get to her in a second.
Yeah, so Isabel Wirth, of course, she's the #1 dressage rider in the world, the most decorated equestrian Olympian, or German female Olympian in the sport. She is a force. And she was expected to dominate these games, and she too, in qualifying in the Grand Prix, really was a head scratcher. And then in the team, in the special, she performed well, but she was not the highest scoring rider. And then she came in today and she really fooled me, because it was made pretty obvious that she was just saving a little bit in the tank for today's event. And I thought her freestyle was absolutely stunning. She did not win the gold. That went to her teammate and Jessica von Bredelbergel, and very deserving. Jessica was sensational, scored in the 90s, 91.732% was the winning score today. But I thought Isabel Wirth and Bella Rose were sensational in their freestyle. It was the duo that we've come to know, and they were just second best today, but they were on their game for sure. And as you mentioned, Charlotte here, that is shown. She put in a brilliant performance today on just Gio, just 10 years old, take the bronze medal, and it made her the most decorated female British Olympian athlete of all time, which is quite a title.
Yes, it is making mainstream news headlines everywhere. And we were kind of talking before this about, how many people are right on her tail, but she passed a rower, and I believe, who was the other one who had 5 as the tie?
A tennis player, in Kitty McCain.
Yes. And so Charlotte at 36 years old has surpassed all other women from Great Britain as the most decorated medalist at the Olympics, which is a big deal for an equestrian. And also, you know, you could chalk that up to, like we were saying before, you know, her horse being the greatest of all time, Vallegro, her legendary horse she rode in London and Rio. But now she's brought this really young horse, and she's kind of showing us that, you know, she's part of the program. She's part of the equation for sure. She's no slouch.
She cannot be discounted. She's a brilliant rider. Of course, to have a partner like Vallegro, she made a lot of history there. We saw 91 today from Jessica, but Charlotte does hold that record. I scored, I believe, 94% with Vallegro in the freestyle, which is the record. But she has brought this up and made this horse, and there is so much more to come from them. This horse, so inexperienced, and I would be pretty excited about that combination for Paris. And even still, they came away with an individual bronze. She calls him Pumpkin, and Pumpkin, pretty excited about the future for that horse. Really rose to the occasion, though, for Team Great Britain this week in Tokyo.
Yes, absolutely. And the Pumpkin is not going away, it doesn't seem like. She stamped her place in history, and that might not change for a while. I also, in soaking up the glory like U.S. Dressage is doing right now, I also wanted to mention the future and ask you what you think that means for the future young up-and-comers who are riding dressage in the U.S., that they had this finish.
Well, I think the tremendous group of dressage riders, the sport has really risen. And again, listening to the commentators in Tokyo, they did a great job. And John Kyle described this so well. It takes 50 years to build up an entire program at least and grow it. And that's what Great Britain has done. They essentially were not a dressage powerhouse at all. Now they are always contenders on the world stage, and it takes a long time to build up. The U.S. is bringing that up. And, you know, we're bronze at the last Olympic Games in Rio. Now they are silver. So can they move up and challenge Germany? That is a tall order, but they are going to be contenders and continue building the program. You know, on the show jumping side, which is my expertise, you know, I think they're really creating a pipeline with these U25 events that really kind of through children, pre-junior, junior, young rider, U25, they are building these riders up. We're going to see the North American Youth Championship in Traverse City, Michigan, that I'm excited to be at and work in a couple weeks, and we're going to see firsthand that pipeline. So very exciting.
Awesome. And I just wanted to ask you if anyone was commenting on the conditions. Just in reading back through some stories online, there were some concerns, and you know, we've heard everyone sort of talking about the heat. They did make the competition slots in the AM and the PM hours, so not at the height of the summer heat. The dressage horses looked really sweaty. What did you think? What have you heard? It did seem like it's pretty hot there.
It's really hot. Tokyo, Japan, the summer is very, very hot, and they're feeling that there. Organizers have put a lot of things in place. There are cooling tents that the horses and riders can go into. And of course, they have scheduled all the equestrian events. All the dressage events went in the evening, but as we move into eventing, there'll be kind of 2 time slots. So 2 sections, one will go first thing in the morning and the other will go in the evening. So they're scheduling all the competitions to make sure they're done, not in the heat of the day. But still it is hot. And, you know, the horses surely were a little bit tired today for a few reasons. 1, because of those temperatures. 2, because this is their 3rd day competing. And 3, there are no spectators. There's no crowd to kind of give them that extra energy boost after, you know, the grueling competition. And in the heat, some of them came out a little bit tired, understandably. And normally when you've got a big full stadium of cheering, it gives you that little bit of a boost. It can get the horses, you know, a little bit bigger and puffed up. You know, and you just didn't have that. So I think, you saw some tired horses, not all of them, but some reacting, for a few reasons. And the whole reason that Charlotte Dujardin was riding Geo and not Mount St. John Freestyle was because she didn't think that horse would handle the conditions well. And that's why Geo was meant to be her second choice, and she brought him to these games. I think she might rethink that pretty soon, if not already. But the temperature certainly did have an effect on the games.
Yes, and this will be interesting as we go into eventing. Now all the eventing teams got their first look at the cross-country course. Phillip Dutton, the veteran 7-time Olympian and multiple medalist, sent us one of his audio diaries, and we've got a clip here, so we'll hear what he has to say about the cross-country course.
We got to walk the cross-country today, and it's pretty serious track, actually, with quite a lot of terrain. It's a beautiful course. They've done a fantastic job, and you can see most of the city from the course, which is very, very unique. And so it's going to be an interesting day. They've done a good job, I believe, with the footing. Feels good. Even if it rains, I think it'll hold up pretty well. It'll be pretty hard to make the time. It's quite a twisting, turning course, and a lot of steep climbs as well. So a lot of intensity on the course. There are some galloping parts, and then other parts where there's a lot of jumps clumped together, which is quite time consuming.
So making the time and it being what he sounds like he's saying is a difficult course, which surprises me, just knowing that some of the horses had layoffs or couldn't get into certain shows or development competitions or extra fitness competition training that they would have been in.
Yeah, certainly due to quarantine and, a lot of competitions being shut down for an extended period of time, across the board, athletes in every sport. But of course, in all the equestrian sports, you have the horse in the equation as well, and you both have to be fit. So, certainly everyone is dealing with a little bit of time the past year. I find the difficulty that he's expressing surprising, because there has been the argument in recent years that in opening up the equestrian disciplines to invite more nations, that they've made the cross country a little bit lighter to make everything fair for all of those less experienced nations. But this sounds like it is a bit of a stiff test. It'll be really interesting to see how everyone navigates it in the conditions. I'm sure that will be a factor, but again, they are being scheduled accordingly. And it's going to be great. I think Team USA has unfortunately had to deal with a few substitutions before they even got to Tokyo. Boyd Martin is riding his second choice horse. We saw Liz Halliday-Sharp have to withdraw her horse from consideration. So now you have Tina Vandiver stepping up. So there have already been a few changes to the team, but you have your two pillars in Phillip Dutton and Boyd Martin coming in, and you know that they're experienced and they're going to deliver and they're going to have a good time.
Yes, and they're going to be at ease. At least those two are. And one of my questions for Phillip for one of the next diary entries, which hopefully he'll answer, is what advice he's giving the younger set. I also don't know if he mingles with any Australians who are on the current team. He hasn't been in Australia in a while, so I don't know if he's in touch or friends with any of them. I know New Zealand is set to be difficult, a tough competition, and France is France the reigning gold medal team for eventing? I think they are. And Germany's always tough, so I don't know. It's going to be interesting, and again with the format changes, but we'll get into some of the technicalities on the format changes in our next episode, as well as look at some of Team USA's toughest competition and check in on how everybody's doing again. So Catie, thank you so much as we wrap up dressage and we congratulate Team USA on their silver medal again. We will see you soon. And don't forget to follow StreamHorseTV on social media, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And we will be getting into eventing on the next one. So everybody take care. Thanks, Catie.
Thank you. And gosh, we can only hope that eventing is exciting as dressage was. If it is, we're in for a real treat.
Yes, definitely. Take care, everyone. Bye.